Hey there, I'm Trista Polo. This is Trista's Plate Story podcast, and I am super excited for this week's episode. We're going to meet Imani. She's somebody I met on Clubhouse. She's from California. She's a business owner, and she has some very cool thoughts on self-love and self-worth. She even gives us some great advice on leveling up your self-worth with some super easy tips. We'll start out with her plate story, of course. She got her plate in honor of her dad. So we'll hear about their relationship. And we also are going to talk about the time that she was homeless, how she made it through that, what that experience was like for her, and some of the important things she learned from that process. All throughout Imani's life, no matter what was going on, good or bad, she has never lost track of her own worth. And that is what I love most about her. She puts that into her clothing line, her business, and her relationships. And I know you're going to love getting to know her. But first, in plate story news, the state of Maine, currently known for their anything goes vanity plates, will begin recalling profane plates with swear words, suggestive language, and other messages considered to be inappropriate. If you follow any of the Maine-focused license plate accounts on Instagram or elsewhere, you've seen examples of these plates. One account on Instagram, Vanity of Maine, has lots of examples, including toe sucker, masturbator, which is MSTRB8R, and MILF wagon, MILFWGN. Will these be recalled among the lot? Plenty of plates I've seen use the F word or some variation of it. There are estimated to be about 400 plates that will be affected by this new law. I would have guessed it was a lot more based on what is shared around the internet. Well, the ride is about to come to an end. Secretary of State Shanna Bellows has spearheaded this change in law, saying if it can't be said on the 6 o'clock news, it shouldn't be on a license plate. And since the plate is technically owned by the state, they have the authority to change their policy. It'll be a bit of a process to finalize the list of affected plates, recall them, and reissue new ones. I actually feel badly for the people affected because I wonder, are they going to get to choose new plates to replace their current ones? If they're going to get generic issued plates or have to go through the whole process again with a new set of criteria. What do you think about this? Should Maine be changing a 6-year tradition of free speech on license plates? Leave me a comment and let me know. Now, let's go meet Imani. Welcome. I am super excited to have my guest for today, and we're going to jump right in. Imani, welcome to Trista's Plate Story podcast.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Now, tell me, where are you from?
I'm from the Bay Area in California. So
awesome. Silicon Valley. Very good. And your vanity license plate, we actually met on Clubhouse. So you are my official first Clubhouse connection turned podcast interview, which is very exciting. So what is your vanity plate?
My vanity plate is MGIXXER. GIXXER is the nickname for the Suzuki motorcycles. And the M stands for Mars, or my dad's name, Marlo. So MGIXXER on behalf of my father. He always had like his name somewhere on his cars, on his motorcycles. Like he was definitely into that was his thing. So that's why I was like inspired by that. My dad did pass away in 2018, and I just wanted to dedicate something to him. I do take care of my Mustang like to the fullest extent now that he's not here to help me out. But I did want to do this, like I said, like in dedication form to him.
That's awesome. I'm sorry for your loss. So did you get the license plate after he passed in memory of him?
Yes, I got the license after he passed. And it actually took 9 months to actually physically get the license plate. So
wow.
It was a journey within itself. That was a roller coaster of like, am I ever going to get it? Like, it's not like I was in a rush to have it because where am I going to go? It's going to be at the back of my car. But I just really wanted it once I placed the order and they gave me a due date. I was looking for it in the mail.
Yeah. And so you have it on your Mustang.
Yes.
And Is this you talked about your Mustang pretty affectionately. So are you a Mustang girl?
Yes, my dad's first car was a Mustang. My first car was a Mustang. When I was born, my dad was driving a Mustang. So Mustangs are very near and dear to my heart. I did drive a Mercedes, but also I don't really like driving, what do they call, automatics. I drive a stick shift, so that's probably also why I have an attachment to my Mustang. And like I said, my dad drives he loves Mustangs too. So that bond that we have so much in common, but even the bond of the car itself, the plate complements the car.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I'd love to hear what else you have in common with your dad. What did you get from him that is important to you to carry on inside yourself?
Yes, it's crazy. My dad has two other kids, and out of all of them, like me and my dad we like the same sports teams. We all like sports, but like when it comes to football, we're from the Bay Area. My brothers and sisters, they like the Raiders, and me and my dad, we like the Dallas Cowboys. No one likes the Dallas Cowboys. We get so much rap for it, but it's all good. It comes with it. Same when it comes to basketball, me and my dad are like the only Warriors fans. My siblings, they kind of like bounce around between teams, but like day one Warriors fan. I got a Richardson jersey. I don't really think I'm gonna hop on the bandwagon of getting a Curry jersey, but I support because he's on our team. I love him, but like our sports team, even baseball, like we're Giants fans. My other siblings are A's fans. I don't know, like me and my dad. I was always a daddy's girl too when I was younger. We have a lot in common amongst like when it comes to the things that we like, the things that we bond over.
Wow, how old was he when he passed, or how old were you when he passed away?
He was 49. I was 25.
Wow, that's young.
Yeah.
Young for
And
both
he's
of you. It
like
was young
the
for
type,
him and
he'd be like super healthy. He'd be like, "Oh, what do you want to eat?" And I'm like, I'm a foodie, but he'd be like, "I'm on a diet." I don't know why this happened, but he's an inspiration in so many ways. And when it comes to health, fitness, just being a good person in general, that's my dad. Everybody loved him.
yeah, that's awesome. And I'm sorry that he's passed and especially so young, but you're definitely keeping him alive in your memories and in your heart. That's very clear to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you do? I know that you have a brand that you're pretty passionate about. I'd love to hear a little bit about that.
Yes, my clothing brand is Recognized Royalty. It is a clothing brand for both men and women. And it's basically a brand to help people recognize their own self worth, just to remind people to recognize their own self worth because we have it within us. And there was some point in our lives, whether it been younger, whether it been like post puberty, whenever, like that we felt like we were at our highest. And then that may have like someone may have put out our fire at some point. But no matter our situation that we currently may be in or our situation that we were in the past, it's like that's not who we are. And we as the individual need to recognize like we are worthy of so much more. Even if we have a lot, if some people may consider it a lot, you deserve even more. Like you deserve everything you have, especially if you worked for it. And that's basically what the brand is about. For me, it basically started when I was homeless living in my car. And at the time, I was living in a two-door Mustang and I was still taking care of other people. But I kind of felt some type of way about myself. I was still working, I had a full time job, still helping other people, being like my siblings, but my situation wasn't the greatest. And I just needed to recognize my own self worth. Like, okay, I need to slow down and stop pouring from this empty cup and pour it a little more into myself and realize I am not my situation. And I needed to somehow, some way save up or do what I needed to do to get out of sleeping in your car, essentially. And then that was basically me realizing like my own self worth. I am deserving of everything that I have, and I should not feel ashamed for what I have. I should not feel guilty for what I have. I worked hard for what I have, and my siblings are also something I worked hard for and towards. So I feel like that is also rewarding to see when they're flourishing, when they're just being grown adults. I just love to see that. And yeah, I wanted to be able to teach people to be able to get out of their situations, no matter what the situation may be, whether they don't have support, whether they think they don't have support, whether there's always help. So on recognizeroyalty.us, there's resources for anything when it comes to if you want to start your own business, there's multiple people doing that. Maybe you want to become a part of the music industry, but there's a lot of people doubting you or saying no, maybe it's too saturated. Like there's people on the website who can help. Resources when it comes to like where to go to if you need help on how to be safe during protests, how to be aware of them and all of that. And even housing. My situation was a housing situation. So anyone going through that, there's also resources on there. So that's basically where the brand stems from. And the goal is to get more people to realize like their own self-worth. We are not our situation, and to just uplift each other.
Well, I love that message. And, when I saw your brand on Instagram with the royalty, I didn't get the connection right away. But then when you said it was like we could recognize the royalty in ourselves and each of us, I thought, boy, that is awesome. Now, I have to ask you, I'm just thinking about Maslow's hierarchy. Like the very first basic thing you need is shelter and food and safety. And it's only when you get to the very tippy top that you actually become what's called self-actualized, where you can believe I am worthy, I am able to be everything I can be. The fact that you were able to see that you are bigger than your situation, that you are not to be judged by where you live, but who you are in your heart. All of that you went through to get to that knowing in that situation of not having a place to live, that seems very unusual to me. So I would love to know, how did you really get to know that when your situation was the way it was, you could still know inside that there was worth for you in there and that you were going to make it out of that and be able to create something so powerful like a clothing brand and a fashion icon statement?
Yeah, I actually always wanted to have my own clothing line since I was in third grade. This is my third attempt at it, honestly. But as far as recognizing it in my situation, I mean, when you live in a very confined or small area, there's a lot of time to yourself, basically. And you can use that time to kind of like dwell on the situation. You can use that time to cry, let it out, do what you got to do. But hopefully majority of that time is spent thinking, how am I going to get out of this situation? And it was a lot of time thinking like, okay, I'm college educated, I have a full-time job. Like that was always there, but I have a full-time job, I'm college educated. I need to find a way out of this, and I know there is a way out of this. This is not my forever situation. So it was just realizing that, constantly reminding myself that, even at the end of the day, you can tell yourself that and people can tell you to say that, but it's kind of like easier said than done. It's kind of just like an affirmation. So it's like going out there and finding the resources. I'm going through a situation right now where I'm utilizing resources, but you're still not getting the help that you need. And that's the situation that some people are in. Even when they hear that, oh, Mani was homeless, like, oh, Mani, where's your family? You have family. It must have been a choice for you to be homeless. That's not everyone's situation. But you can't think about what everybody else thinks at the same time. But at the end of the day, I had to realize I had to look at it for myself. I couldn't look at it from everyone else's perspective. And it was like, you have so much going for you, so just get up and do it yourself, kind of thing. But yeah, definitely utilizing resources, which is why Royalty provides resources, because those resources were not easy to find. And there's a lot, like where I live in San Jose, there's a lot of homeless people. People are getting evicted every single day. So if the resources are hard to find, or if you're reaching out and it's going to take 3 to 5 business days to hear a response, things don't happen right away. Again, that's where I came from, is realizing this is not my forever situation. Like, I'm going to find something, some way to get out of this. And I want to help other people do the same.
Well, I really acknowledge you for always knowing inside what your worth was. You've mentioned a few times that you had a full time job. Did they know that you did not have a house while you were working?
No, my job did not know, because when you apply for a job, you need to put an address on there. So of course I had my previous address. It's not like they're gonna mail anything for you to sign, so they don't know that I was homeless. But I had a full-time job. So even my brother would be like, well, if you're homeless, then why do you have a gym membership? Well, where do you expect me to shower? Like, there are things you still have to set. You still have to live on a budget. And at least I had some sort of budget working. But it was like that budget was still like having that gym membership so I can have somewhere to shower, having to that budget to pay my phone bill. I also needed a hotspot to use my laptop to get my homework done. So there was still expenses that you have when you're homeless. It's not like being homeless is free. Like we still need to eat. And at the same time, I was feeding my siblings. So there's a lot that goes into it. And no, my job did not know because I was still getting things done. I was still coming to work looking cute every single day. That's what it was.
Wow, I really just can't even imagine. And you're saying that you also took care of your siblings during this whole situation. It sounds like you really take personal ownership of their well-being. Were you solely responsible for them, or they weren't living with you?
No, they weren't living with me and they were not my responsibility. But I did my part in taking care of them. Like anything that they needed, I was there. Whether it been food, financial, a trip to the doctors, I was always just a phone call away.
That's awesome. So they always knew that you had their back no matter what,
Exactly.
which is that's really important. So now you are building your brand. You're still living in the Bay Area and you're doing a lot to grow. What kinds of things are you doing to grow your brand and really get it out there so people have access to the resources, but can also look super cute in what you're offering as well?
So in San Jose in particularly, I have my pop-up shops, and that's where people can come in live and kind of see what I've been working on when it comes to products. Sometimes there'll be early releases at the pop-up that I just haven't released on the website. And that's when people can kind of like get that personal stylist experience. There's always pieces to wear. It's like, but how do I wear it? How I perceive royalty, how I would like other people to look at it as well, is clothing is supposed to express how you feel, however you are. If you can't decide between some colors and you just need to put all of them on, like, it's fine. Tomorrow is a new day and you will have a new color palette. I've also done it in Hayward as well, the pop-up events. But since the new normal, I've basically been advertising mainly on Instagram, and the email subscribers, they get they're the first people to know when product is released. So that hype is still there for people. And then Instagram also knows eventually, but mainly through social media and email subscribers. As far as resources, that is also released first to the email subscribers. But even interacting with people through social media, connecting with them, the activist that I met was through social media, but she's an activist here in my city in San Jose. Turns out she's not even from here, but she has done so much for our city. She has stood up for our city. She has stopped so many evictions happening in our city. Like, she has contributed so much that I was like, people need to know about her. She has ways of like how to keep you safe during a protest. Like, how can I be involved, but not necessarily be front and center? So this is information that people need to know. This is information that people in my city in particular, because of what we're going through, need to know.
Wow, that's really great. So you talk about a lot about your brand being about self-worth, and self-worth is super important to me as well. In fact, I have a self-worth assessment and mini course on my website because I wanted to pay forward a lot of the resources that I've learned, the tools that I've learned. It sounds to me like you have an innate understanding of your own worth, like that you always knew you were worth something, even in your lowest moments in life. And I will tell you that I am the opposite of that. I have always questioned my worth until just a few years ago. And I've done a lot of work to really accept my value. Life's a lot harder when you don't believe you deserve good things. Everything is harder. So I really resonate with the message behind your brand. What advice would you give someone who is really working on their self-worth and really wants to have that innate understanding and knowledge that they are worthy, what would you recommend?
All these people that we look up to or aspire to be or see on social media, we may not even know them. And we believe that they live this great life. It's like, why can't you believe that you can live a great life? Why can't you believe that you can reach these goals? And same for myself. I can do that. All these places that I've seen these people go to, I can go there too. Like, why can't we? And if you don't believe that, then you're going to be what you think. Because you are what you put the most energy into is what's going to become. But why put so much energy into other people when we can be putting that energy into ourselves? So it's just reflecting on ourselves. The advice that I would give is to stop pouring energy into other people and pour it back into yourself. Stop seeking validation. If you like it, then who cares if anybody does? Then just love it. Yeah, because we give off everything that we give off, even the advice that we give, we should be giving ourselves. The compliments that we give, we should be giving ourselves as well. Yeah, just all the energy you pour into somebody else, don't forget to pour that back into yourself.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. In fact, one of the things I'm thinking about from what you just said is love yourself first, because you can't love anybody else more than you love yourself. And so you've got to look in the mirror and really love who you are first. And one thing you said that really also resonated for me is have opinions and own your opinions. Like, really own whatever I believe is the right thing, because I believe it, so it's the right thing for me. And just really own that. So you said it in a different way, but that's kind of what I extrapolated from what you said. And I was like, yeah, that really is a good place to start. Just like, I like blue, own that. Just really own that you like blue, or own that you love Mexican food. Start small, just own your opinions about things and try on what that feels like, and you can grow it from there. So I think that's great advice. That's really, really great.
Like you said, own it. Like, my hair is purple. My hair's always been purple. I am over 25 years old and my hair is still purple. So even when it comes to jobs and they ask for a different color, it's like, no, this is me. This is what comes with me. My work ethic is not going to change, going to be any better, I should say, if it was a different color. But as going back to even pouring from an empty cup, we cannot continue to do that. We need to even have boundaries and fill up our own cup to be able to pour into others. Don't get me wrong, I still help my siblings 100%. But sometimes with some of them, I have to set those boundaries, whether it be for my mental health or just giving that space in order for me to grow. Because when I'm at the level that I'm headed towards, then I can be able to give back to them even more. So you gotta sacrifice a little bit sometimes to get to where you're trying to go.
Yeah, for sure. That's great advice. So we'll have your website on the show notes, and people will have access to your Instagram, and we'll make sure to put how to connect and follow you on Clubhouse for people on that app. And I just really appreciate you coming on and sharing your story. I really am very inspired by everything that you've gotten yourself through and pulled yourself up from, and what you're creating and then giving back.
Thank you so much for having me and for hearing my plate story. Creating this plate, I didn't think anybody would ask about it or there was much of a story behind it, but clearly there is, and I'm so excited that I got to share that.
Me too. Thank you so much for being on. I really enjoyed having you as a guest, and I look forward to seeing all the wonderful things that you will create and continue to build with your recognized royalty brand.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to do this, and I really appreciate this. Thank you again.
Awesome. You're welcome. Have a great day.
You too.
Thanks for listening. Please subscribe to Trista's Plate Story podcast, share it, or leave a review. If you would like to nominate a license plate to be featured in a future episode, or you have an interesting plate story news item to share with me, leave us a comment or visit platestory.com. That's PL8STORY.com and give me all the details. This is Trista Polo, wishing you well on the road to your next adventure.